In this episode, I clear some space, attempt to bleed some brakes, find some more mouse houses, use the pressure washer on the inside of the car like a non-normal person, and cut some steel to fill a big hole. Back on the Celica. So I decided I should probably clean it first before fitting new shiny parts. Kind of makes sense, I guess. So I took the car cover off and it promptly started raining. So I guess that helps. And then I had to remove all the parts which were stored on the back seat and in the boot. Try and clear out everything, make some space, getting ready to pull all the seats out and the carpet in the interior. But in order to get better access to everything, I'll need to move it to the front yard. And before I do that, I think I'd like to get the brakes working. So that empty reservoir is going to need fluid. Going to need to bleed all the brakes out, and it will also help me find where the leak is, because this stuff doesn't just evaporate. Ooh, that's going to need a clean. That's definitely going to need a clean. Attempting to bleed the brakes resulted in no fluid movement. Likely means the brake master is no good, so in the meantime I'll just keep moving the car, utilising the handbrake to stop. So while pressure cleaning, there are a few thankfully vacated wasp nests around the place that need to be removed, and these odd parts floating around the engine bay also don't need to be there, so they can go. Because of the large amount of rain that we've had here, it's not as dirty as it was, but there are some places that are quite filthy. Have a go at removing rust stains from a can being sat on there. I'm not sure whether this will come off, but this appears to be overspray because this was used as a place to sit things in paint instead of being respected like the 50-something-year-old car that it is. I don't know why that's happened, but here we are. And this clear coat needs to go, which will get flung off and paint the yard in pink confetti, I guess. So let's get started. I didn't show it, but you just have to have faith that I took all the bolts off these front guards, pulled them away and cleaned all the inside, particularly in here where mud likes to collect. Obviously it's already been patched and got a replacement piece. That's not bolted at the bottom. Doesn't matter, it's fine. So a bit of rain falling to help rinse off the filth. I mean, not really. I don't want to be working in the rain, but I want to get this clean so I can put it back in the place where it's been living that I was trying to get it out of, so I can stay out of the rain and do some more work on it. It's all right. back undercover again, where I've been trying to get it out from this whole time. So I don't have to worry about rain, which of course has gone away. First step, now that it's all dry, I'm going to go and make it wet again because I'm not clever. Well, thankfully, old cars don't have a lot of electronics to worry about, so it's just basic wiring. I should be able to cover it up, stop any water ingress, and that way we'll be starting from a nice clean slate. Let's go. I personally find it hard not to chase squirrels when doing stuff like this because I'm going to pull out this back seat. I'm going to have to vacuum again because there's going to be filth under here. I then noticed the seat belts aren't that good, so then I start thinking, well, I should probably pull the seat belts out, and then I do the front seat belts, and then I end up forgetting I'm supposed to be working back there. Oh, look at that, isn't it delightful? Oh my God. More mouse house. Obviously they've really been going to town on the underside. This seat, I guess I'll get that cleaned up before I continue with the rear. Stray useless cable out. It's another thing gone. Great. Get that out of the way. Should be, well, there should have been some screws holding that in, but there aren't. That's fine. Now, if memory serves me correctly, it should be just a matter of lifting upwards and then out, and then the seat is free. Yes. I will leave the seat belts in there for now, but they are going to have to come out. Time for some vacuuming. So the mice have done me a huge favour by transporting all of that seat foam to the inside of the rail inside the car. The nozzle only fits in one location, so it's like a nice long bed of mouse house that I can't get out. So my plan is to use the air compressor to shift that foam to the spot where the vacuum does fit and suck it out. That will aerate the mouse house, make the interior smell lovely, and probably help my immune system kick into gear. I mean, that was gross, but it does feel good to know that all that stuff's not in there anymore. I think I need to go throw up. Alright, go again with the air compressor, quick blow out the back before I start washing it. While I'm here, I may as well try and blast this stuff out, try and remove any loose paint again, and then get it ready for repainting. When I say painting, I mean painting of the underbody, coating everything in black, the stuff you don't see. Need to make sure that any rust gets taken care of, patch any holes that I find, and give it a coat of paint or underbody prep, whatever I find that's suitable, and then replace all the parts underneath like suspension bushes and stuff like that. And that will be all the lower things done, and I can concentrate on this sort of stuff and this and this and there's a long way to go. And when I pressure washed the underbody in the front yard, there wasn't any soap or degreaser. I've now applied some, as you may see from the staining here is releasing some grease from the underbody. That will give a nice clean surface ready for paint. So I've washed it all out, dried it with the air compressor, gone over it with paper towel. It's obviously still damp. I'm just going to let the rest of it dry naturally. So it's time to just sit and wait, let that happen. Obviously there's a fair bit of work involved in getting it to a point where I'm ready to start making a template just to cover that hole, because there's no point doing that if everything's dirty. You're just going to be putting dirt under paint. It's a bad idea. This could get drawn out for quite a bit of time. Well, it's fairly dry in here now, so I'm going to attempt to make a template out of baking paper and frog tape, because that's what I have. The transparency of the baking paper should allow me to see the holes that I can then mark on the steel sheet, which will become the boot floor. So it will bolt in place, and that will make a solid base for the fuel cell to sit on. Ish. Well, that was a really good idea until I figured out nothing sticks to baking paper. So when I got some paper out of the printer and taped that up, so I guess I'll just use this to try and make the template. Somewhat like that. Just cut it out and work with it, I guess. Alright, so I've got my template cut out and I've taped it down to this 2mm thick piece of mould steel. The paper wasn't quite wide enough, so some of this is missing. But what I'm going to do is get to this point here. I'm going to use this template and flip it, get this line to match up with this slope here, and use this edge to fill in that gap there, so I don't have to go and make another template for this to work. Alright, so I've grabbed some safety glasses. I'm going to move this out to a softer area like the grass, and then start running the cutting wheel around this to get the piece I need. Now that it's cut and all the sharp edges are removed, time for a bit of a test fit. The problem I've got here is this lip isn't at a 90-degree angle, so it's not meeting the plate. It's actually bent down a bit here. So I'll need to think of a solution to get that level again, so it will bolt up nice and evenly and create a good seal. My solution is somewhat crude, but I believe it will work. Using a straight edge here, I then place a ruler on this lip, grab with the multi-grips. This will exaggerate the angle that this is at and indicate how far away from level that this is. You may be thinking, well, just use a spirit level, but the thing is the car actually flat? No, because it has a flat tyre. We can't be sure that the suspension isn't sagging on one side or the other. This method should bring this lip square to the rest of the boot floor, which is what we do need. Let's see if my theory works, hey? Pinch tight. It's hard to tell, but from this angle, this section's sitting a little bit high once I pinch it tight. So if I bend it down too far, that ends up level with the timber. That looks more level. And then just keep working my way around the whole perimeter of this and get it level. I'm at a point where it's closed up pretty well. I think once it's bolted down, it'll pull the plate together with that lip. A bit of sealant there to stop any water getting in, and we'll call that done. I'm going to mark underneath with some paint. It'll go through the holes where the bolts are supposed to go. Leave overspray over most of the panel, and the dot where I need to drill a hole, I can then mark all those out, center punch them, drill them out. But still won't be ready for paint because I need to make a cutout for the tank, as it has a lower section where the outlet barbs are, and I need to make a hole to allow that to sit below the level of the boot. That'll also require a seal, so there's a bit more work yet before we're even close to having this ready to be painted and have a tank put in on top. Close enough. All right, so that plate's now in place in about the right spot, actually fits. Now it's a matter of marking out the mounting points for the fuel cell. This fuel cell here, it's 60 litres or 15 gallons, which is about 50% larger than the standard fuel tank, which was about 40 litres. I need to cut a section out of the plate for this drop down piece to fit in so it sits lower than the boot floor. And these lines will then run out and around up to the front of the car, feed fuel to the carb. So I'm just going to take the tank, drop it in about where I need it to be, make sure it fits in the area I need it to, get it sitting central. Use a marker to mark out the front area of that lower piece, and then do some measurements, trace out a pattern, cut a hole in that base plate for that to fit. And then I can get it sitting flat, get these tabs resting against the floor, mark the holes for those bolts, drill those out, and move on from there. I've marked out the area I need to cut out for that drop down piece for the fuel collector. Let's cut this out and then hold it up to the tank and see how close I got. So the base plate's done, it's all trimmed, edges smooth, painted black, the hole's cut out for the drop down part of the tank. There's a cutout here for a tank vent line, which I'll fit with a grommet and the hose to run through. I'll run that line up to the engine bay to a charcoal canister. I guess from here, in the next episode, I'll move on to cleaning the carpet that I forgot about and getting that fitted, fitting the tank, fitting the pump, running the lines. Maybe I'll start the suspension. I don't really know. See you in the next one.